Hello, welcome to the finals of OutLoud 2021. I'm Emilie Zoey Baker, and I'd like to acknowledge our event takes place in Melbourne or Naarm on the lands of the Boonwurrung and Woiwurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation. I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, no treaty was signed, and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. In the words of Carl Sandburg, poetry is the journal of the sea animal living on land, wanting to fly in the air. Poetry is a search for syllables to shoot at the barriers of the unknown and the unknowable. Poetry is a phantom script telling how rainbows are made and why they go away. And oh my God, today there will be rainbows, both metaphorical and literal. Yeah, right. I'm thrilled we were able to run out loud through all this Lockie D madness and digitally gather to delight in some incredible new voices. The young poets about to be presented here are little miracles made flesh and have spoken from their hearts about subjects that they are truly passionate about. The poems are brilliant, brutal, raw, real, and so very important. Every year OutLoud gets better and better, and this year was no exception. Our judge for 2021 is the very talented poet Luca Lesson, who was tasked with the excruciating job of choosing our winners. I'm just super glad it wasn't me. I'm always glad it isn't me. There'll be a winner in each category announced. Years 7 to 8 and years 9 to 12, as well as an overall OutLoud 2021 champion. All students, however, who entered will receive a prize pack from the Wheeler Centre and Express Media delivered straight to their school. And Luca Lesson has also generously gifted every entrant with a free ticket to his online course, Amplify Your Voice. 7 weeks of videos, resources, prompts, workshops, and live sessions. He's an utter gem, and I'm thrilled students will get to learn from him firsthand. The winning students today will also be invited to perform live, in real life, like actual real life, at the Wheeler Centre's Teen Gala on Thursday, the 11th of November. And the overall winner, a one-on-one live mentoring session with Luca, as well as a little bit of cold hard cash. Cold hard cash never hurt anybody. So without further ado, let's get our poets on. We have 7 schools who made the finals this year. Keilor Catholic College, Northcote High School, Melbourne High, Alice Miller, Carey Baptist Grammar, the John Monash Science School, and William Ruthven Secondary College. We'll be running it in 2 parts, years 7 to 8 and years 9 to 12, 2 categories. Luke will then announce the winners, and then it will rain poetry, glory and gold from the sky. Let's hit it.
Today, I wake up. I grab a piece of toast and I sign into Compass, 4 minutes late to my WebEx. Yesterday, I woke up. I opened my eyes to a crowd of millions and I joined them. Today, I lie in bed, procrastinating work and losing focus in seconds, opening my Discord and telling myself just another 4 minutes. Yesterday, I waited in that crowd, hoping, wishing people would listen and hear us, opening my Twitter and shouting my thoughts into a void. Today, I listen to music. Every other song an ad tells me staying apart keeps us together. But yesterday we would move as one, together in a crowd, showing up in one district, packing up and disappearing, reappearing in another as other people joined. We would shout, "Lunch and a hot toy," and we'd hold our umbrellas up for freedom, to stand up to a superpower and to shield us from the incoming rain of ink, rubber bullets, pepper spray, 10,000 canisters of tear gas. Getting in trouble for wearing black, getting arrested for eating mooncakes with plastic knives, getting shot for not complying with the way we were told to think, getting beaten up by triads, and getting assaulted by police, getting killed, but ideas are bulletproof. Today, I wear my mask. I follow restrictions. I try to keep away from other people on the tram. I wait, hoping, wishing for this hell to be over soon. It's funny, because yesterday they wanted to ban masks because of us. They would barricade the MTR in Central, trying to stop us from disappearing and reappearing. They were hell-bent on crushing us. Today, I sit in my room, staring at the empty walls. The silence is maddening and peaceful. The emptiness is bearable and insufferable. I miss yesterday, when I could stare out at a crowd of millions and truly say I am home.
Roses are a sign of love, a gift of heaven from up above. Petals more delicate than your life, you'll find love is more dangerous than a knife. The thorns on a rose will cut you deep and will ultimately make you bleed. It will make you want to drop to your knees when all you can do is stand there and weep. A waterfall of tears roll down my cheeks while I stand there like a statue as my knees grow weak. With my heart in my hands, still beating its beat, a single blood-stained rose lies at my feet. But then I remember the day I met this girl, her red hair draped over her shoulders in lush curls, while this girl had my stomach in a whirl. Her beautiful blue eyes glimmered like diamonds, but little did I know her eyes just hid the lies she hid deep inside. My eyes trailed to her smile, I swear I could have crumbled into a pile. Her lips were red, I thought I would be dead. Oh, I knew this girl was the one. But now I stand here and see what she has done, I feel like I need to run. I had made this girl my lover, only to discover her lips on another's.
What would you say if I said, hey, I'm Lee, I use the pronouns they, he, what would you say? If I told you that science says too that there are more than two genders, that biology shoots down your precious piles of protests in psychology about the label I use that prove that there are actually 6 sexes, of chromosomes and fusions of genes that apparently define what's in your genes too, what would you say? If I told you that even as neither a man or a woman, I'm still scared to walk alone. I'm still scared to walk at night, still scared to walk past a pub without my hands over my chest, dressed in hoodies to hide the breasts that define me as an object. By the men who leer out of car doors and windows, the men whose comments don't fall on deaf ears and instead steer me away as they say the things I wouldn't like to hear, though what would you say? If I ask quietly for you not to call me a girl, not to fit me into that little box where swirls of discomfort, dysphoria, and disorientation dislodge the neutrality I fight so hard to maintain, while you complain that your brain can't manage to just call me they, what would you say? If I let loose the tight-lipped mouth that keeps in the thoughts in my head, the noose that chokes the judgment from my throat in fear of what you'll say back, if I scream the thoughts and the things from the thick haze of my mind and you take it as an attack, what would you say? If I told you that every day I look in the mirror and I am upset because I see a body that doesn't feel right with my mind, and yet still you stand and say, boys and girls, setting pearls of doubt into the pout that sprouts on my face with every misgender and every she-her that's thrown my way, what would you say? If when you call for boys to the left and girls to the right, I didn't move. If I stood in the center, away from the gender, away from the restriction of the binary that lays in a binary of weight on my mind, what would you say? If I told you that every time I speak, I'm conscious and cautious and careful of the voice that comes from my throat, the sound that I choke on, because if it's not when I've only just woke, I don't sound like a bloke, and instead just a broken girl poking fun at the deep croak of a masculine voice, what would you say? If I told you not to apologize when I tell you that my name is actually Lee, and I don't actually like the pronouns she, her, the pronouns that run amok mocking the identity I hold, I don't expect you to stammer and bow at my feet, waxing poetic anthologies of apologies as an overdramatic fanatic attempt to make better the disaster that your half-assed attempt at asking me a question has apparently created, because God forbid You offend the queer person who merely has a different idea of their identity to you, which is just shocking. And apparently I'm cocking the gun of sensitivity I hold at my side as a proclivity for every single negativity that comes my way, but no, I don't need you to apologize. I just want you to be so wise and unlike the other guys that you correct yourself and move on. Instead of feeling like you've dropped some sort of offensive bomb as if it doesn't happen to me every day, because hey, we all make mistakes. So what would you say if I said, hey, my name's Lee. I use the pronouns they, he. What about you?
A Watcher's Revenge by Redmond, Brazil. Tick, 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 tick. We see the world from your wrist, forced to watch you turn and twist. Tick, 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 tick. We never sleep that you insist. We're forced to work through rain, storm, hail, and mist. Tick, 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 tick. We lost our taste, our sense of smell, since we've got no food in this eternal hell. Tick, 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 tick. God, this is hard work. I slave away night and day, and my great reward is to hear you say, huh, it's 2:30. Tick, 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 tick. Please, you have so much and we have so little, what we wouldn't do for just one skittle. Tick, 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 stop! Now just you wait. Us Swatches will have our revenge. All us Swatches and Cutchers and Seekers and Fitbits, we'll show you all your misfits. We'll sneak up on you in the dead of night, detaining the wretched humans with the power of fright. We'll tie 'em up and throw 'em in jail and keep 'em there until the morning light. And on that day we'll have our say, we'll pin you to our wrists. And you may scream and writhe about, and shout and turn and twist. But what you do matters not, for the Watchers will start anew. We'll tear down the world you built and build it much better than you. We'll build watch towns, watch towers, watch houses, and then make them so tall we'll make yours look like ounces. And oh, most importantly of all, it'll be you telling us the time. Tick, tick, tick. That's all you'll do. Just like for centuries what we've had to do. And as for us, we'll dance and shout hooray. But until that extraordinary day, we wait and tick-tock our blues away.
Are you okay? That's all it takes. One conversation can be what makes or breaks. One conversation. You may think he seems fine, but he's hiding behind a fake smile, and it's his mind that needs a guideline. One word of wisdom. That's what he needs on the front line. He's surrounded by insecurity while you're surrounded by sunshine. You get to class. You don't see him put his hands up, but rather his head is buried in his hands, and all the teachers tell him to do is wake up. But what those teachers don't know is the overwhelming depression that he is going through all alone. He stares into vagueness, no escape, no getaway. His mind is a mess. He's the overthinker. Why didn't they talk to me today? He's the one that cries himself to sleep every night, but in front of everyone else there's not a tear in sight. But by himself he does rewrite the way you see him. Giving advice. Just a couple words will do, but no one speaks those words. Yeah, there's no one in the queue. His tissues, they drown in his tears and they fall apart. He wants to speak up, but he doesn't know where to start because he's scared to talk, to fit in with society's rules. Man up, don't cry, don't show emotion, you're a guy. That's the information that's roaming around our high schools. No need to talk to him, he looks fine. That's what you thought. But when no one else is looking, he's the one that brings a tissue to his eye. But no one knows, because no one says hello to a boy who sits in the corner, whose unrecognized anxiety sure does grow, and his emotions he does not show. All you needed to say was hello. You slowly see his dimples as he smiles. No longer. The freckles as he gazes up into the sun fade away. You don't get to see his sad and gloomy side, but it's his quietness that gives his happy act away. I don't understand. He was smiling the other day. All the times he made me laugh, you see, I could write a 10-page essay. You don't know unless it does become too late. Please don't hesitate. One less tear to wipe, tears like a river, one less funeral to attend, one less eulogy you have to deliver. Just one conversation. The unspoken power, the influence behind words calls for one less tombstone flower. Are you okay? That's all it takes. One conversation can be what makes or breaks.
In today's class, we'll be learning about the alphabet.
Exactly 26 letters which reach from A to Z. If you did your homework, you might be ahead, but for now, hear this version instead.
Because I'm society, so listen closely to follow my standards of propriety. A. All you need to know is that you'll stay.
B. Below. You're nothing but lesser members of society. My needs outweigh yours, suffering inside an invisible prison, a caste system.
C. Can't you see? You're nothing but a...
D. Disappointment. All you'll ever be. You want to be smart. You want to read every classic. You want to learn music. Want to play Beethoven's Symphony No. 4 until our jaws unhinge and hit the floor. But you're a failure. How can you be smart if you fail my standardized tests?
E. Equality. Something I'll always preach but never achieve. I'll call myself an ally of racial communities because I like to move my mouth a lot, saying I need to dismantle the system, as if I would change the system that takes cash out of your pockets into mine, because I am the system.
F. Female. The weaker sex. Documents with letters M and S so that I can choose who earns less money. E from the Bible. Pandora from Greek mythology. Women are the timeless cause of my downfall.
G. Good luck trying to survive this life. You won't make it out alive. I never break intergenerational cycles of poverty. You've never learned how to thrive.
H. How dare you not listen to me when I'm talking? Do you not know how to follow basic instructions?
I. Injustice. Millions of displaced refugees. No education, no home, jobless, wallowing in despair. I'll scorn at bony kids, arms outstretched with blackened fingernails, begging for a home. And I'll turn a blind eye.
J. Just listen to what I say. I say it's not time for a bathroom break, you go when I say. Leave this room when I say. Talk when I say. Do your work when I say. There's only one rule. Only do what I say.
K. Ku Klux Klan. You thought that was in the past. Think again. My system spoon feeds white supremacists.
L. Learn to smile, even if you have to fake it. Smile until the dimples are etched into your cheeks, deeper than the cuts you describe a slit on your wrist as if it was just paper.
M. Mad. My ways make you mad. Mad that Robin Hood only exists in fairy tales. Mad that mad people are going to jails instead of therapy. I'll say that education is the password, knowing damn well poor people stay locked out. ATAR scaled up in private schools while children are left to rot in public schools.
N. Negotiate, protest. It'll do no good. You should have understood you'll forever stay in your ghetto hood.
O. Overworked, underpaid, the reality of minorities, the blood, sweat and tears that I feast on.
P. Patriotism. Australians all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. But not for you. Not for you coloured folks. I'll hold my Aussie flag of red, white and blue in one hand and beat you until you're blue and black with the other. I'll turn history books into works of fiction, tell you to go back to your country despite standing on soil that isn't mine either, but is stained with Indigenous blood.
Q. Quadratic worksheets matched with pulling all-nighters is the only path to success.
R. Rubik's Cube. That's what I like to describe those who don't fit our box, our paradigm. Every configuration, something strange and taboo.
S. Simon says, speak when spoken to, shut the hell up and do your work. Simon says, chins down, pens down, because so help you if you're a three thinker.
T. Tokenism. Indigenous, Asian, Hispanic, nothing more than tokens in a school brochure.
U. Underage, just how I like girls. Yeah, I made the female beauty standard so deeply rooted in pedophilia you don't even realize it. Frail bodies, innocent eyes, soft voices, baby smooth skin. How different am I really to those I lock up in cells?
V. Virgin. I use that as an insult to offend the modest, to turn the pure into lustful beings and corrupt their mind with vindictive lies.
W. Water. I knew you couldn't swim, which is why I made you drown in your own tears. While you were stressed, depressed, oppressed, I was sitting on your life vest, unbothered to stand up.
X. Xanax, cocaine, heroin, cannabis. If you have melanin, your mom is definitely an addict, your dad a drunk. It's as simple as that. There's nothing to debunk.
Y. You send? Every teenage boy's favorite line. If you said no, you're playing hard to get. But if you said yes, you're a slut. A game you'll never win.
Z. Zeitgeist. Here's mine. I have a dream that the roots of discrimination will never be abolished. You can deny it, claim it as a bygone of eras past, when black people became black slaves and Indigenous Australians were seized away.
The effects still last, even to this day, where black people are held at gunpoint fast and minorities still without a say. It's an unchanging way of thought, a cycle for which I'd thought and sought, perpetuated by my aggressions left to those in distraught. A way of thought that was taught, because I am society. So now that you know your ABCs...
Next time, won't you sing with me?
1, I was born. 2, I could crawl. 3, I could talk. 4, I could draw. 5, I could read. 7, I made friends. 8, my heart started beating fast. 9, I couldn't breathe. 10, I isolated myself. 11, I cried. 12, I understood. 13, I made a change. 14, I hesitated. 15, I was a target. Why? Why is it that I still feel restricted, mentally convicted and depicted as coexistent? I ask myself, how? How can I speak if I am muted? How can I be awake if I'm forced to sleep? How can I be breathing if my lungs are collapsing? How can I be the one to empower when I am being powered down? How can I be black in a world that wants me to be white? The answer is there is no answer. Little do you know that these preconceived notions in which there is no lotion to dry the implicit bias you hold within, eating you up alive, telling you that you and I are the same, but you force yourself to believe that we are the same, even though you know we are different. If you still don't understand, let me put it this way. Breathe. Your eyes are like witness bearers, or you might like to call it a storage unit that holds all the times of your privilege. Like the time you chose to sit back oppositely, witness the lack of equality, bypass the atrocities, amplify the animosity, all to uphold your wealth in the economy. All because simply you couldn't do the simple geometry and add up that the black communities, the anomalies, breathe. I don't think I can breathe because I'm choking on the pollution of hatred we call air. I see the tears in your eyes, I see the tears in my eyes, the weep for justice, the cries. It's the pain we can no longer tame. They want us to be ashamed, but all we need to do is reclaim and aim. Because we will no longer be the byproduct of a failed society. Because we will no longer to be afraid to inhale and exhale. Because we will no longer be the victims of negligence, because we are black excellence. 16, I no longer feared. 17, I advocated.
It's a poem about growing older and it's called Teenage Angst. I want to grow up. In grade 1, I thought I was a child prodigy. I'd have a few articles written on me. By the time I was 18, I couldn't wait to skip years of school and be in Harvard by my early teens. No, actually, by that age, I'd have my PhD. I'd beat time before it could beat me at 15. I can't wait to be a famous artist. I am terrified of office life, a 9 to 5, an hour of poetry on the side. I'm not like those artists with an hour of poetry on the side having to slog through 8 hours of terrible work. I want to starve for my art. I'd like to make Diogenes seem cool again, let me subsist off of nothing but my art and loving moonlit letters sent in from teenagers with an unhealthy relationship to my work. See, I can't wait to write a classic. I can't wait to rival Fitzgerald and Wilde and all the Russian authors that I can't pronounce the names of. I can't wait to have perspective. I'll be cool, calm, and collected. Stop thinking I'm defective. Leave the grey haze of my teenage days. All this angst and worry goes away. Nights spent giggling about drinking bleach. I can't wait to never feel sad again. I can't wait to buy a house in Doreen, chosen so that I can be close to my family, because that's how life is. It hits you fast, you know, and all of a sudden, well, you're nearing 30 and you're not going to get any younger. Think I need to settle down faster, start climbing the corporate ladder, become nothing but first world issues and cigarettes. I can't wait to never have to think again. I can't wait to drown it out in parties and partners and heroin. I can't wait to have my painting sold in an auction for $1 million to the highest bidder, marked up though my work has always been capitalist condemnation. I can't wait to sell out by 12th grade graduation. I can't wait to be paid for a blockbuster adaptation for the novella I wrote when I was 7. I can't wait to go on Zoloft. But then be taken off it. Because being sad lets me make art, and art about dying is, you know, the funniest kind of, I can't wait to plan the outfit I'll wear when leaving the psych ward. Selling the crayon art I made during my stay as a Patreon exclusive. Setting reminders on my phone to end myself if I'm not successful by 26. Staring at the blue-grey clock and rocking myself to sleep in a locked room, and someone threw out the key. I hear other voices scream in there too, and I hope they can hear me. It's the great equalizer. It speeds up time until you're 15, feeling bad about yourself, then hiding it in a night metaphor, fear of going to university in the same state you live in, fearing being 30, working that office job, not being the author I thought I was, making my whole life an extended metaphor performance for art on a stage, monologuing and praying it's impressed so I won't have to go another day working in government. Canberra. One day, I will look back on this time and want to slow down, and I will be able to read my favorite books without hating the authors for being infinitely more successful than me. Thank you.
What if I told you, once upon a time in a world far from here, the stars glimmered a little brighter, the sun smiled a little warmer, the water rippled a little smoother, and the sky embraces a little softer, till we all lived happily ever after. Except, for once upon a time indicates a somber truth, that what we have now is not this picture-perfect happily ever after. Tonight, the sweet melody transfuses in unison with the delicate reflection in the water. Each small twinkle sparking a further sense of ataraxy, but these thoughts in my head act like a suffocating weighted blanket, silencing my wishes and dulling my senses. A paralyzing repeat that taunts me time and time again are these words that I want to convey. There are no words in between these lines that can encapsulate this feeling. It feels like a euphonious rhythm that sounds so complete, but so empty from beneath. A song with a blissful persona on the surface, but a tsunami of melancholy from inside. Every person in this world has a spirit, defining them with pure distinctiveness. The colors in the sunset represent these everlasting characteristics. Each color is so pale on its own, but once together, a breathtaking view that's an enchantment with guaranteed effect. These colors in the sunset slowly fade away, to reveal a velvety coat of ominous black, tainted with the presence of splattered white stars. Black and white. Such contrasting colors, yet such compatibility with each other. And then the sun rises again, unveiling a newfound zest of hues, marking an incoming and treacherous quest. Is this what we could be? When one's colors faint to pure nothingness, they are illuminated by glistening stars, helping them to rise once again. This sweet melody makes me wonder, if what if became this utopian reality, would it mean that how happily ever after could be what Romeo and Juliet didn't have? Do you know how I feel? This This emotion resembles that of a secret garden, where overgrown lilies and daisies infest about, hiding the weeds and thorns that cultivate underneath. But even if our own songs on these screens contradict, once they're put together, a timeless melody that sways in the luminous nights produce. Our souls would pound, symphonious, longing for one another because it's you. In the end, all that's left for me to ask is, do you think of me too? Do you lay your eyes on me too? Do you look for me in a crowd too? Do you feel this way too? If so, would we complement each other like the sky and the stars? Would our hearts beat as one? If so, could I mutter the words I love you too?
Racism. An ongoing crime scene that is disguised and denied.
And even though justified by this country, time may pass, but things remain the same.
We will turn the stage into a courtroom and bring forth the experience and the witness to condemn.
Though our legs may ache and our hands may shake, we endure.
We stand before you for but a few minutes. Their words besmirch the atmosphere. Black ink upon blotting paper. Black, the shade they so despise, crawling over the barriers they've colour-coded. Their verbal pinpricks, that pin of satire that satisfies their desires, like a dagger at the heart. The malice in the eyes, the flaming meteors of evil, a mouth of injustice spewing little arrows that prick the skin, drawing tainted blood. The words that float away upon laughter's sickly wings, departing empty minds and empty souls. I stand there enduring a few words
for a few decades. Their laughter rings in my ears and I want to speak up, say something, but my throat is clogged and the words are stolen straight from my heavy tongue. The rage simmers within me, yet I remain quiet. This guilty silence was taught to me. This silence was praised for me. You call it the bystander's effect, or call it how bystanders affect history, the present and the future, all the time and forever.
I stand there enduring a few words for a few minutes.
Their linen hands wrest my culture from the cavity of within my chest and return it to me, bleached and scrubbed to rags. They exotify what they cannot assimilate, criminalize what they cannot appropriate, and just that their hate is all in good fun. When I burn under their segregating tides, small embers drowned by their dissolving acidic winds, they call that whitewashing. We may stand before you for but a few minutes, but we reiterate a lifetime
of injustices and microaggressions,
of compliancy and silence,
erasure and alienation.
And so we ask, when will we finally be able to sit down?
Anxiety, it is suffocating me. The ticking in my brain going faster than the clock and its frame. As I began to wonder, what is it that has caused these feelings? What is it that has become so important to me? What is it that is stopping me from getting the help I need? The stigma. The stigma around mental health services. The stigma is suffocating us.
Ripping apart in my flesh and blocking the airways in my chest. The fear of those seeing someone who's broken mentally, those who tell their kids to stay away from people with mental health illnesses subconsciously. Those people are suffocating me.
Not because of their actions, but because of their limited education on this topic. The limited education they have received in schools on this topic has caused a negative stigma around it. It is not just addressing the issue that has now become a problem, but even if someone's issues has been addressed, it might as well be turned into a joke.
Just how long are you going to let them suffocate? Just how long are you going to ignore this issue? There's a time limit to everything.
We cannot continue to joke about those who have PTSD, ADHD or OCD, because that is what's stopping them from getting the help they need.
So stop forming a stigma around mental health. It is suffocating the people around me.
Countless peers of mine have gotten judged by people around them for having something out of their control.
Countless adolescents not knowing why they're feeling this way as their world spirals out of their control.
Countless people turning a blind eye on this issue as if they have everything under control.
They have forgotten what it is that they are trying to control.
They are trying to control a disease affecting one's mind so deadly and silently. Not even the most experienced medical professionals can diagnose it.
They're trying to ignore it. But how can they justify this comforting illusion when more and more people are spiraling out of control?
The people around us are suffocating.
Drowning in their own thoughts, their own brains, creating sceneries, fantasies, and deadly images.
To those who have not yet realised that mental health is a serious issue, I would like to ask them if they have seen the percentages.
The ever-increasing percentage of people being diagnosed with mental health disorders.
The ever-increasing number of suicide rates.
The ever-increasing number of abuse, bullying, and mistreatment of those around us with mental health disorders.
Have you seen the percentages of people who are diagnosed but refuse to receive help?
As a society, we have formed a stigma around mental health,
and it is up to us to break that stigma, to take note of the issue, because your ignorance,
it is suffocating me
and everyone around us.
What is up, everybody? My name is Luca Lesson, and I'm very excited to be joining you here for this year's Poetry Slam. It was an incredibly difficult task to try and judge this, but I think I've got it figured out. But more on that a little bit later. Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge that I am residing on Bundjalung land, and I would like to acknowledge the elders, past, present, and emerging, and the stories and poems and songs that have been recited on this land for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And I would like to acknowledge also the same histories that have been going on the lands where all of you are tuning in to this as well. So I really, really feel as though this year, watching these videos, there's like a step up that's happening in the world of poetry. I've been lucky enough to facilitate workshops for about 15 years now, which is kind of crazy to think about. And I know that Emilie and the people that have been working on this with young people to help them write these poems have been doing it for a very, very long time as well. And in those years, you wouldn't be able to imagine the changes and the development and the growth and the culture of poetry that has been built by people and by young people who have been engaging with poetry, writing new poems, connecting with other poets that they love, watching things online, being influenced by new styles, different messages. And that was really, really powerful for me to watch, to see how things have grown, how things are growing, especially in Melbourne, which is, such a center for literature and spoken word in Australia, or in the Southern Hemisphere, really. So, I have a list here of poets. Many of you may know who I have chosen for the top 5 for each group and category. I'd like to kind of give you a rundown of what it is that I was looking for. I look for passion. I think that's my number one. Passion is really important to me. And with that passion, I look for relevance of the subject matter, but I don't want the relevance of subject matter to be more important than the pen game, than the skills involved. So there may be a poem that was really incredibly current in terms of the messaging, but I'm also looking at the execution, and then I'm looking at the passion. I'm looking at the actual word choices, and I'm looking at the performance, because even though this is an online process, the performance that was chosen as the final and best performance to use as the entry to this competition was really important to me too. So there are some poems that may have looked amazing on paper, but I'm not reading the paper. I'm looking at the performance. So I took that into account as well. And it was really quite difficult for me to choose. So for the 7s and 8s, my top 5 are Eve, Megan, Lee, Redmond, and Haley. And for my top 5 for the 9 to 12s group were, these are in no particular order, just so you know. Sharon, Khalid, Eric, the group poem of Suri, Mahalia, and Joseph, and the group poem or the pair duet poem of Jared and Patrick. So they were my top 5s in each group. Like I said, it was very difficult to choose. There were some people who had incredible lines, but maybe the actual poem didn't really hit the mark, or the ending wasn't quite as poignant as the beginning, or the skill or the quality didn't carry throughout the poem. Some poems I felt were a little bit short, not because of the timing in particular, because it doesn't matter. You can tell an amazing story in 1 minute or 2 minutes, but it didn't feel like the idea was fully developed, that there could have been another 30 seconds where that idea just got really taken to the nth degree and really finalized. Some of the videos or the performances weren't as powerful as they could have been, maybe because of a lack of memorization or whatever it might have been. I don't want anyone to feel like they lost out by not being in the top 5s, because everybody's quality was outstanding, and I really appreciate all the effort that went in to everybody's work. Now, I would like to announce the winners. So there's 3 winners. The winners are 1 winner in the first group, 7s and 8s. The other winner is the 9s to 12s. And then there's an overall winner. I decided to choose 3 different people for these 3 positions. And that's because I think that it is important that we, first of all, share it around, but also that, you know, anyone can be the winner overall, no matter which group they're in. So my winner for the years 7 and 8, my winner is actually Redmond for 7s and 8s. Because I love the originality of the poem. I love the power of the word choices. I actually think, Redmond, your voice is a very beautiful voice. And for me, that's actually really important. It's something that you can't really teach anybody. It's something that, you know, if you don't have it, it's kind of hard not to get it. It's hard to get it. But if you've got it and you use it right, then there's something soothing about a really nice voice, and it carries the poem in a really clear way. The pronunciation was super clear. The word choices were awesome. The execution was great. The power, the passion, but also the concept is one of the most original concepts that I've ever seen. And so I really love how you took a concept that some people might seem was crazy. I don't know if you got it from somewhere or not. You know, maybe there's somewhere out there that it exists, but you took this concept and you took it all the way to the nth degree, all the way to the ending where it should be. You have a nice understanding of a narrative arc already. You understand, you know, where that poem should have taken us, where it could have gotten us. I love that you do the role reversal. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's about watchers taking their revenge on humanity for us tying them around our wrists for you know, many years, and they take their revenge on us. I just think it's a really great concept, and that you executed it really well. Your voice is great, your video is cool, and you're obviously a natural in performance as well. And I think it's a poem with like a bit of a lighter side to it, but in some ways it talks about, I have a song actually called Killing Time, and it reminded me of this idea that time is kind of, you know, in control of us. But you flipped it and you made it that we're in control of time, and time's going to come back and take us over. So I love that. So congratulations to Redmond. I would like to give a special shout out to Eve. Eve, your poem is beautiful, amazing. I love the execution. I love the use of a second language. I love the conversation around politics. I love the engagement. And I love how vague it is as well, in a sense, because I feel like you intentionally left out the major detail of exactly what you're talking about so that we can kind of come halfway and try and figure it out. For me, it feels like it's about the umbrella revolution in Hong Kong, but don't hold it against me if I got that wrong. But I feel like it's either way, even if I did get it wrong, that's kind of a win for you, because I'm putting the pieces together myself and making the meaning myself, which is what good poetry should do. It should make people come halfway in a way. It should make them kind of look for your meaning and find their own meaning in the process. So big love, Eve. I love that. And I'll get on to the rest of that maybe a little bit later. Obviously, the rest of the top 5 are also honorable mentions. Now, the winner of the 9 to 12. This is also extremely difficult. I found it very hard to choose between 2 particular performers. And that's because their writing was incredible. Their maturity was incredible. Everything was really powerful. And so I have had to go with the one that I felt like the performance hit me the most. And I couldn't look away, and I had to recover from watching the poem, which is always a good sign. So Eric, you are the winner of the 9 to 12s. So congratulations, Eric. What an amazing piece. What an amazing performance. I understand that you have a great future when it comes to performance poetry. If that's what you want to do, you might want to look at acting. You might want to look at all sorts of things, storytelling. Your writing is beautiful. And that's also what I really look for as well, which is important. As a spoken word poet, you need to be both an introvert to write the good stuff and to be clear and focused and really, in your own little cave, making the words work well. And then you go from introvert to extrovert because you need to take that poem onto a stage and perform it in a way that hits people. And I feel like you did that to a very high degree. So I really love that poem, and I really love the ending, and I really love how impactful it was. And I love that your style is very original. You don't sound like anybody else, at least not in the poetry world. And your writing is unique for your age, and your subject matter is unique, and the way that you put that together was unique. And that's what I look for as well, for poets that don't sound like other poets. For me, I think that's really important. And I want to give a huge special mention to Sharon. Sharon, you were the other poet that I was trying to pick between. Your poem was amazing, beautiful, very well written, well beyond your years. The only thing that got Eric the spot was just that his performance just smashed me. Maybe it was the mood I'm in. It's really just that simple, like really that tight. So Sharon, you deserve all the praise as well. I really loved your poem. I really love the subject matter, the execution. I love the ending, which is a really important part for me. I love how you interrupted yourself, how it cuts between different images. Really great. And the dream that you're talking about, I'm sure, is yours. Basically, the dream of reading other people's books and not being embarrassed and not being upset at them for there not being your books. I felt it. I felt that pain, and it's a beautiful pain because it will help spur you on to write the books that you want to see in the world. And you also mentioned Diogenes, which is, my Greek background. You got me you had me at Diogenes. So yes, thank you so much. So they're the 2 winners. And then there is a final winner that is an overall winner that I haven't mentioned yet, that I think has written something well beyond the age group, well beyond the I think good poetry pushes us into new territory, and this subject is a subject that is pushing the planet into new territory at the moment, which I think is important, or perhaps old territory because it's only new for our society, but it has been around for a very long time. And also, it is such a poignant and important subject matter in the world today. I needed to make sure that I wasn't just giving this outcome because I decided that it was a beautiful subject matter or an important subject matter. I had to make sure that it was an important subject matter, but the poem actually stood up as the best poem. And it did. So I would like to congratulate Lee for winning the overall position in this year's Poetry Slam. Congratulations, Lee. It is a testament to who you are, to your family, to the people around you that support you, to your ability, to your skills, to your maturity, and many other things, no matter what the future holds for you. And I would love to see you, obviously, after this happens, after you win all this and you celebrate this, move into all sorts of territory with your writing. But I think this is a really seminal and important piece of writing for you and for the planet. So it moved me, it was powerful, and it's incredibly well executed. And more than anything, it's authentic and sincere. And that is very hard to replicate. It's you. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody that did this. I've gone way over time, but you know, poets can't stop talking, and I'm definitely in that category. Much love, everybody. Peace, and have a beautiful week, year, poetic life. Peace.
Thank you, Luca, for that fulsome and passionate announcement. I know how hard it is. Congratulations to Redmond from Alice Miller, Eric from Melbourne High, and Lee from Northcote High. You all did so well. There are also two highly commended poets Australian Poetry would like to announce, Eve from Northcote High and Sharon from Carey. Again, congratulations. And to all the poets who entered, whether you made the final or not, we loved watching your incredible words of truthy power. Really, the world is in good hands. Poetry is an incredibly powerful tool to communicate what you feel out loud. And I'm a very proud member of this wonderful Slamily. I'd like to give special thanks to Beck Kavanagh from the Wheeler Centre, to our judge Luca Lesson, to Emma Caskey and Jacinta Laplastria from Australian Poetry, to all of Express Media, and I'd like to thank the teachers, especially those that nagged and filmed and made all this happen. You are all incredible, enthusiastic power packs, and I could not do my job without you, so thank you. Have a beautiful rest of the day or night, wherever you're watching this around the world, and I will see you in determination in real life next year. I'm Easy B. You've been watching Out Loud. Goodbye.
Visit wheelercentre.com for the best in books, writing and ideas from Melbourne, Australia and around the world.